There have been so many versions of Superman over the years, but none compared to Henry Cavill's portrayal. We were all excited when he announced that he'd be making a return as Superman in October, but then DC Studios completely changed up with new co-CEOs. Now it looks like we might never get to see Henry Cavill's Superman grace the screen. Let's get into the video. First up, Henry Cavill is being replaced by a younger Superman. Henry Cavill has officially hung up the cape and called it quits with the DC Universe. After years of speculations, it was finally confirmed by Henry Cavill himself on his Instagram page that he will no longer be playing Superman. It seemed like we had all collectively been holding our breath in anticipation for Cavill to make his return as Superman after he showed up in the post-credits of Black Adam. But James Gunn had other plans in store. Instead of reprising the role, Cavill will be replaced by a much younger Clark Kent. There is no word yet on who will be cast in this role, but what we do know is that Superman fans will have to say goodbye to Cavill and the Man of Steel 2 that was apparently in the works. After James Gunn and Peter Safran were named co-CEOs of DC Studios, it was confirmed by both Cavill and Gunn that a new actor will take up the role of Superman. In an announcement from Gunn on his social media, the DCU will be restructuring the character arc and will focus on a younger Superman. Of course, Cavill also took to his Instagram to acknowledge the news. According to THR, Gunn is writing an all-new Superman movie featuring Clark Kent as a reporter for the Daily Planet. It looks like we can expect some major changes in this new movie, and it's not going to be anything like Cavill's Superman. Up next, why did Cavill show up in the post-credits of Black Adam? Cavill's return as Superman in Black Adam was a surprise to DC fans after years of his absence. After the theatrical release of Justice League in 2017, Superman was noticeably absent from the DCU. Cavill's Superman even made a headless cameo appearance in Shazam. That's why it was a relief when he came back in Black Adam. Everyone thought they'd have a showdown in the next Superman or Black Adam movie, especially considering their rivalry in the comics. Apparently, the plan was to have Cavill's Superman back in the DCU on a full-time basis, and he'd even filmed a cameo scene for Ezra Miller's The Flash movie prior to his exit. But Gunn and Safran took over DC Studios and decided to focus on exploring the character using a younger version of Clark Kent. It looks like DC is gearing up for a major reboot in the coming year, and that's why we haven't heard anything about Wonder Woman 3 or any future Aquaman movies after the 2023 sequel. This also explains why James Gunn and Jonathan Safran are teaming up to make another Superman movie. It'll definitely be interesting to see how exactly DCU will progress, and if Gunn and Safran will give us a satisfying end to this era of the DC universe. We're also hoping that by 2022's close, we'll get more clarity about what's next for the DCU and Superman. Following up, what went wrong with Cavill's Superman? After the mixed reviews of Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, the monumental failure that was Justice League, and Warner Brothers' inability to commit to a consistent plan for the DCEU, it really seemed like Henry Cavill's time as Superman had come to an end. Despite this, many fans still agreed that he was one of the best things about the DCEU, so his time as Superman could have potentially still worked, even if Snyder's vision for him was never restored. But after 5 years with no announcements of a new project starring Cavill as Superman, it looked like his days in the iconic red and blue suit were limited. It didn't help that he'd only had 2 brief teases of his future in the DCEU after Justice League, with a headless cameo in Shazam, and just a silhouette in Peacemaker. One of the biggest issues with Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman is that he was a bit darker and more insecure than in previous takes on the character. This darker tone made sense in Zack Snyder's original 5-movie arc, as Superman was still untested and unproven before eventually becoming the hero we all know and love. Sadly, with Snyder's Justice League sequels not happening and other Henry Cavill Superman projects being scrapped, we never got to see the character reach his full potential. Christopher McQuarrie pitched a new Superman movie starring Henry Cavill at one point, but that never actually happened. Moving on, who could replace Henry Cavill as Superman? Following the news that Henry Cavill is retiring from the role of Superman, there's been a lot of speculation on who will take his place. Fans of Superman have been pretty vocal lately about who they would like to see replace Henry Cavill as the iconic superhero. Enter David Corenswet, an up-and-coming actor with a growing list of credits, including The Politician, We Own This City, and Pearl. His resemblance to a younger version of Cavill is uncanny, making it easy to imagine him portraying Clark Kent's early days. In fact, Twitter has been abuzz with tweets from dedicated Superman fans who are crossing their fingers that Corenswet will get the role. Other than David Corenswet, there are a ton of young actors that could be just right for the role of Superman. Fans have mentioned Jacob Elordi from Euphoria, Will Poulter, Michael B. Jordan, and even Nicholas Braun from Succession, whose height and charm could bring an exciting new spin to the character. It's a tough call, but whoever gets the nod to step into Henry Cavill's shoes will have one of the most iconic roles in movie history. And no matter who it is, they'll probably be under a lot of pressure. After all, they will be compared to Henry Cavill's Superman, which won't be easy to live up to. Coming up, why is Henry Cavill done with being Superman? On October 24th, 2022, Henry Cavill excitedly announced to the world on his Instagram that he was returning as Superman. He even made a reference to the post-credits scene of Black Adam, which had just come out earlier that same week. We were all super pumped when he said this was just a small taste of what's to come, which made us think Superman was going to have a huge role in future movies. But unfortunately, less than 2 months later, it was announced that Henry Cavill wouldn't be playing Superman anymore. In his Instagram post, he mentioned the studio allowed him to announce his return after Black Adam premiered. So what could have changed in such a short time? Well, it looks like DC was serious about shaking things up when they announced the hiring of James Gunn and Peter Safran to be the new co-heads of DC Studios. This move came just a day after Henry Cavill's highly anticipated Superman return post. So it seems like DC had some big plans in store for their cinematic universe. They wanted to start from scratch and create a brand new universe for their franchise. This means that Black Adam's premiere and Cavill's Superman return announcement will be the last of their previous plans. And all eyes are now on Gunn and Safran as they craft the future of DC Studios. So any plans DC had before these two arrived probably won't really fit into what they've been envisioning for the studio. Next, will the DCU's new Spider-Man be in the Batman universe too? With all the buzz surrounding James Gunn's Superman reboot and Henry Cavill's exit as the Man of Steel, it definitely feels like we're entering a brand new DCU. But that raises the question, what lies ahead for Matt Reeves' Batman? After all, this new universe would need a brand new Batman to go along with its younger version of Clark Kent. Some have speculated that Matt Reeves' the Batman could be brought into James Gunn's DCU, which would make sense, as they both feature fresh takes on their respective superheroes. Unfortunately, just the day before Superman's reboot news was revealed, both James Gunn and Matt Reeves debunked the idea that Batman would be entering this new universe. So it looks like Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent won't be teaming up anytime soon in the movies. So it looks like the big mystery for the future of the DCU is who will be Batman in James Gunn's world, and it's still a bit up in the air. Variety first broke the news that the Batman could be a part of this new universe, and they're still standing by their original claim, despite what Gunn and Reeves are saying. It's possible that they're reading between the lines here, as Gunn's DCU could be built around the Batman, instead of him being brought into an existing universe. If the Superman reboot isn't in the same timeline as the Batman, then there's a chance we could get a whole new Batman for Gunn's world entirely. We'll just have to wait and see. Finally, could Cavill ever return as Superman or another DC character? Although James Gunn and Peter Safran reportedly discussed future collaborations with Henry Cavill, it looks like we won't be seeing the actor wear Superman's cap again. That's because James Gunn's upcoming Superman flick is a full-blown reboot, introducing us to an entirely new Man of Steel as well as a whole new supporting cast. And it won't just be a standalone movie either. James Gunn and Peter Safran have mapped out an entire 10-year plan for the DCU that includes movies, video games, and animations. So we know this reboot isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But what about Cavill? If Jason Momoa is allowed to take on a different role in the DCU with Lobo, something similar could happen for Henry Cavill too. We can't rule out a multiple Superman legacy movie, or even a Kingdom Come type of story that would bring back Cavill's Superman. But right now, DC Studios isn't focusing on those options. It looks like for now, we'll have to say goodbye to the actor's days as Superman. That's it for today's video. Do you think Superman should have been replaced? Make sure to let us know in the comments below. As always, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one!